Hello, this is part 2 of me turning SCP GoI into characters. I will be doing the GOIs listed on the Wiki's GOI page, specifically the ones that are classified as a major GOI. So if there's any I missed, it's probably because it wasn't listed on the page. The designs will be reminiscent of country humans and state humans because, yes, I am also not a great artist or character designer, so you guys can critique my drawings, just please don't be mean about it. You can also correct me if I'm wrong about something too, since I'm not an expert on the SCP universe, although I try my best to be as accurate as possible. There is going to be LGBTQ plus content in here, so if you hate that, please get off my page because I'll be making most of the characters somewhere on the spectrum. Before I start drawing, I would like to say a couple things. First, I removed Dr. Bright from the Dr. Bright cameo, because I realized it's kind of stupid of me to add a character that was made for someone's fetish. Secondly, I added each character's sexuality and what they would sound like, aka a voice claim. I'll quickly summarize the choices I made. Ari Kuyet is Aeroflux, and he would sound like Clover Cookie from Cookie Run Kingdom. Dear College is a straight ally and would sound like Blue Diamond from Steven Universe. The GOC is pansexual and would sound like Sevika from Arcane. Sorry if I butchered that name, I've never watched Arcane. The SP Foundation is omnisexual and would sound like Am from I Have No Mouth, But I Must Scream. Valorant Corporation would Valorant Corporation would be Aerowaste and sound like Sergeant Calhoun from Wreck-It Ralph. Anyways, on to the main video. By the way, I will stutter a lot in this video, so I'm sorry. The Church of the Broken God is an anomalous religious organization which worships mechanization and believes flesh and life to be inherently evil or broken. Members of the church go through a process known as standardization, which is basically just them replacing their body parts for mechanical ones. There are 3 different denominations: the Broken Church, the Cogwork Orthodox Church, and the Church of Maxwellism. I will be making designs for all 3 and go in-depth into each sect. Or at least try my best to go in-depth with each sect. I made the sects siblings, and the order I will be introducing them is by eldest to youngest. The first design is the Broken Church, the oldest sect of the 3. The leader of this sect is His Holiness Robert Bumaro, I believe that's how you pronounce it, and he also holds the title of Builder of the Broken God. The full lore of Bumaro depends, as he could just be some random guy or someone that has existed since the Daevite Empire. The Daevite Empire is a predecessor of the Church of the Broken God, although the Xia dynasty is also a predecessor of the church too. He also may or may not have helped the Third Reich during the Spanish Civil War, which is slightly concerning. This sect isn't overly specific, so a lot of it is mostly up to interpretation. In that case, my design for the Broken Church is a combination of modern and steampunk limbs. His head is the only fleshy part of him due to the fact that he's old and hadn't had a lot of time to replace his body with metal. He has wings made of steel and has a robe thing. This is supposed to be reminiscent of like an angel, like a biblical angel. It's mostly just symbolism and contrast between my design for Sarkicism, aka Nälkä, which I'll get into later. His core is also visible. Speaking of cores, let me explain a little bit how they work according to my lore. Although I already explained this in my lore video for country humans and state humans, I'll just reiterate what was stated in that video here. Cores are a physical concentration of an idea or a specific concept, such as country or religion. It is made of a specific type of energy that I honestly haven't really thought of a name for yet, and parts of something that is important to the specific concept, such as soil, rock, or metal. These cores are what makes personifications not human, as it gives them enhanced senses, regeneration, and other powers. The cores will disintegrate when the concept becomes invalid or disappears from existence, which will also kill the personification. Anyways, continuing my explanation of the design, he also has a hammer staff thing that I decided was an actual part of the Broken God that the church is trying to rebuild. I'm also going to make it so that he is actually the personification of the Daevite Empire because, why the hell not? I made him Aerowaste because he probably removed the part of him that would be attracted to anyone because it would get in the way of him rebuilding the Broken God. I would think he will sound like HAL 9000 from Space Odyssey. Personality-wise, Broken Church would be very aloof and cold, although he does care for his siblings a bit. Heavy emphasis on a bit because, canonically, these sects do not like each other. He is very antagonistic against Nälkä due to the whole machine versus flesh narrative. Pretty sure this is a really long enough explanation, so on to the next sect. The Cogwork Orthodox Church is a sect of the Church of the Broken God where members specifically adhere to the technology of the Industrial Revolution. They are the most pacifist sect of the church. They are also the sect that are the most serious about standardization. They implement things such as clockworks and gears into their bodies in order to remake themselves in the image of their god, Mekane. Oh yeah, the god that the Church of the Broken God worships goes by different names depending on the sect. Due to their heavy standardization and the means used for their standardization, they are called checkers by the other two sects, which is basically a slur against them. These guys also call the devil the flesh, which, to be fair, seems pretty on track for their behavior since they replace their entire bodies with metal. The Orthodoxy are also very prejudiced against modern technology, which makes them like butt heads with the Church of Maxwellism, which I will also explain later. The Orthodoxy came from the first major schism of the Church of the Broken God, due to heavily differing opinions over the topic of standardization. I made the Cogwork Orthodoxy basically almost fully machine, just like her brother Broken Church. Although instead of her core being visible, she hides it behind a clock. Although, to be fair, the clock will glow if it's in the dark, because there's a core behind it. Her wings are a mixture of cogs and fabrics, and she has two exhaust pipes on her back that releases steam every once in a while or when she wants to communicate. Speaking of communication, she can't talk. She usually just communicates using clock noises, steam releases, and gear turns. She usually uses Morse code, but she does use other types of codes to communicate. She is a straight ally due to her other two siblings being a part of the LGBTQ community in one way or another. More heavily on Maxwellism because I'll explain that when I get to that section. She is a kind and calm person, but she is scared of most of the other personifications. She is also a pacifist, which is I feel like it's kind of obvious based on the previous sentence I just uttered and what I said near the beginning of this explanation. I really don't know what else to say for the Orthodoxy, so on to the next section. Alright, here's the final sect of the Church of the Broken God, the Church of Maxwellism. This sect is a heavily modernized sect, believing in their god, Wan, is fractured and scattered throughout technology. They came out of the second major schism from the Church of the Broken God. This came from the fact that members felt the dogma was outdated with current technology, leading to the creation of Maxwellism. They favor small body standardization due to the use of cybernetics. They tend to focus more on advanced communication and connection rather than full body modification. Although this doesn't mean that they don't replace their limbs with mechanical ones, it's just more rare. They are referred to as hummers due to how they use the humming of computer fans for worship. I decided to make Maxwellism a gender-fluid individual because I really couldn't decide, basing a gender off of St. Hedwig or how Maxwell is usually a male name. I thought of a wholesome fact, or headcanon or canon or something like that, where they asked their siblings, Broken Church and Cogwork Orthodoxy, to implant a small device where they would know what gender they were at all times. Although, there was heavy pushback from the Cogwork Orthodoxy due to the whole I don't like modern technology mindset that they have. They have wings that are made of both metal and holographic stuff, like light projection things, because yes. And they also have a fake Nimbus halo that is also a hologram. Wow. The only truly replaced parts of them are their arms. At least the ones that are visible, because he definitely have a bunch of organs replaced with cybernetics. I'd imagine they appear to be a young teen due to their connections with modern technology. I was originally going to make them even younger, like an iPad kid, 12 or something like that, but I realized it's kind of stupid because they represent a religion. They act innocent, a lot innocent, even though they're a little, they're not stupid. They can also be a bit creepy at times due to their synthetic voice, which also changes depending on what gender they are at the moment. I made Maxwellism also gray sexual, meaning they rarely experience sexual attraction because he's a child. He's still a child, guys. He's underage, or mentally underage. In one canon, the canon in wherever SCP 6800 is in, they went completely batshit insane and went full on religious psychosis mindset. If you read the article, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, that's the end of my explanation for the 3 sects of the Church of the Broken God. We'll be talking about Sarkicism next. Sarkicism, or Nälkä, is a religion based off the teachings of Grand Karsus Ion. They practice ritualistic cannibalism, human sacrifice, corporeal augmentation, thaumaturgy, dimensional manipulation, and the formation of pacts with otherworldly entities. I stole that line directly from the Sarkicism hub. They are highly secretive, although some groups of interest are aware of them, such as the JOC and the Horizon Initiative. The only one that is outright antagonistic against them specifically is the Church of the Broken God, which view Nälkä as their spiritual enemy, their arch nemesis and stuff. The term Sarkic is actually a slur created by the Mechanites, which has accidentally been used by the GOC and the Foundation. There are 2 primary subsections, Proto and Neo. Proto sects are usually secluded around the Eurasia area, and are self-reliant, humble, and apprehensive towards outsiders. Also stolen from the wiki page. These groups reject modernity, occasionally displaying technophobia, and are also bound by superstition. Neo-sects are mostly the opposite. They embrace technology and use their powers for selfish reasons. There are some commonalities between both groups. They believe in apotheosis, the consumption of gods, sacrifice, and manipulating the flesh. Proto-groups revere Ion as someone who has achieved apotheosis, while Neo-groups regard Ion as the person who was the closest to achieving apotheosis. Neo-sects also do not view Grand Karsus Ion as their prophet or savior or whatever. Proto-groups actually despise Neo-groups, viewing them as heretical due to their selfishness and all that. Nälkä appeared within the Daevite Empire, which I will talk about soon, as a revolution against their masters. This led to the formation of the Tama Empire. I probably butchered that name. I don't know how to pronounce it. Which is aka the Deathless Empire, which was probably destroyed by the Mechanite Empire and other civilizations. Even though they are heavily demonized by the Church of the Broken God, the cults don't view them as their spiritual enemy. At least the proto-sects don't. I don't know about the Neo ones, because I honestly didn't read that far into it. I decided to combine both Proto and Neo into a single body, although they are separate souls. Proto is a male and Neo is a female, which is why I made the Nälkä personification bigender. Their consciousness are kind of melded together, although they are separate souls and they can separate into 2 separate heads and bodies and whatever. I will explain the lore reason behind that later. There is a mouth on their chest for the whole god eating thing and the cannibalism thing. They have wings and horns that are sort of reminiscent of a demon due to the heavy demonization of the Nälkä religion, which also serves as a contrast to the Church of the Broken God, or specifically it serves as a contrast to all 3 other personifications. I just realized. The broken chains and restraints on their body is a reference to the Daevite Empire and how they kind of emerged from the enslaved people of the Daevite Empire. I think there's one exception to that, because Lovatar, she was a part of the Daevite the hierarchy thing. They also have another form which is based off of Chroma from Limbus Company, but I really do not feel like describing every single detail of it, because I honestly don't know what I did with that design. They are also abrosexual, which means their sexuality fluctuates a lot, because I feel like that kind of fits. I'd imagine Proto would sound like pure vanilla Cookie from Cookie Run Kingdom, and Neo would sound like Double from Skullgirls. Proto would be a nice, shy person that usually avoids most of the personifications, while Neo is honestly just some psychotic, greedy, individual. Lore-wise, for the reason why I made Proto and Neo share a body, even though these cults are very, very different from each other, is because Neo got a little too greedy and wanted more and more power, so she kind of forced Proto and her to be merged together. This is why the Proto personification also really, really hates Neo. Anyways, we're gonna go on to the Daevite Empire. Let's go. The Daevite Empire was an ancient civilization that began in south-central Siberia and eventually expanded through Central Asia, the Middle East, and Eastern Europe. This empire was structured around, you guessed it, systemic slavery. Also military conquest through anomalous means, ancestor worship, ritualized human sacrifice, and the uses of dramaturgical practices. I stole this off the wiki. They are tied to multiple groups of interest, such as the Church of the Broken God, Nälkä cults, and the Church of the Second Hindtalk. I will explain the Church of the Second Hindtalk, in a different video, because I'm not designing that design in this video. The empire began as a bunch of small city-states, which then unified and started to conquer, enslave, oppress, and wipe out any civilization it came across. Their society is matriarchal in structure, as many important roles are held by the people of the female sex. They did have a god that they worshipped, although who this god is unknown, being speculated to be the Scarlet King or Yal the Both, I think that's how I pronounce it. The reason why the empire started to collapse was due to the Nälkä Revolution. Although this was left out in SCP 140, which was a book detailing the history of the Daeva, which was also written by a Daeva. I wonder why they excluded Nälkä. I wonder. They really hate Nälkä for this. Also, the Daeva people are also like a separate subspecies of humans. Fun fact. Design wise, I took a lot of creative liberties since the concept of the empire is rather open-ended. Since literally the only commonality is they were an empire that enslaved people and used magic and stuff. Because there are also multiple interpretations depending on which story or article you read. I admit this is probably not a fully accurate representation of the empire, but I tried, and this is also my interpretation. Her armor is a reddish color scheme due to the whole human sacrifice and cannibalism thing that they committed. The symbol on her face is also one used in the list of groups of interest because I couldn't find a canonical flag. There was one used in the fandom wiki, but I honestly could not find the origins of the flag. So I'm not gonna use it. It's kind of sad I can't use it because it would be so great if I could connect this to my country human roots. Oh god. It would be so great. Too bad I can't do that. Since the empire is technically destroyed, but it's hinted that it isn't fully destroyed due to SCP-104 being able to change reality to make sure that the Daeva people still survive. I just made it so that the Daevite Empire is got sealed in a book that the Foundation is also keeping, which is why I drew a little doodle of them at the corner over there. Yeah. Personality-wise, I think you can kind of assume what I'm about to say. She's very sadistic and bloodthirsty. She also likes torturing the personifications that she comes across and enslaves. She also has a severe superiority complex and is also a heavy megalomaniac, which, I guess you can assume that based off of my previous description. Anyways, that's the end of my explanation. Yeah, and that's probably the end of the main part of the video. And that's the end of the video. Sorry for not uploading in a while. I was very, very sick, and I had to make up a lot of work for school because I'm a minor, but and I was also in a heavy creative slump. Thanks for watching the video and subscribe, I guess.